Alright, you guys, so now we're going to talk about how we're going to get our images from this raw folder into the Lightroom catalog. So, the first thing I want to talk about is I want to clear the confusion about Lightroom CC and Lightroom Classic CC. In this class, we're going to be using Adobe Lightroom Classic CC, not Adobe Lightroom CC. I know, so confusing. I have no idea why they delineated these two things this way, but I'll explain really quick. So, Lightroom Classic CC is the professional level editing and cataloging software made for bigger files, okay? That's what we're learning, the professional software. Adobe Lightroom CC is more cloud and mobile based, and so it's a way of editing and cataloging our mobile pictures. Okay, so a little bit easier to use. Adobe Lightroom Classic CC is just more professional and a more robust cataloging and editing software. Whew, we got that out of the way. But I might confuse you in a second because you're going to see that my Lightroom, which is down here, just says Adobe Lightroom. But that's because I have an old version before there was the delineation between the two. So don't worry about that. Yours should just say Adobe Lightroom Classic CC. Okay, so we have our source folder right here. And I'm going to also talk about how Lightroom operates. Because remember in the last video I said, in Lightroom you never hit File Save. Lightroom is designed more like a web development or a website building software where you're building pathways as opposed to file save. So we are going to build a pathway from Lightroom into this folder of raw images. The power of Lightroom is it is a non-destructive cataloging and editing software, which is different than Photoshop. If you know Adobe Photoshop, it is destructive editing. When you edit a photo in Photoshop, you're actually changing the pixels of the source image, okay? You're actually applying changes to the pixels of the file that your camera made. Adobe Lightroom, you don't ever apply the changes to the source file, right? So we have in our raw folder all of these source images. The way Lightroom works is it builds a pathway from Lightroom into this source folder. It creates previews of all of these images that shows exactly what they look like, and then we're able to catalog them and edit them in Lightroom. We're not in Lightroom editing the actual files, we're editing the previews. Confusing, I know. But what that does for us is we always have these to go back to. Our raw source images are never changed, okay? These always exist unedited because in Lightroom, we're editing the preview of them. Then when we want to get our images out, our edited images out of Lightroom, what happens is Lightroom makes a baby of the preview, the edits, and it creates a third file that's a different file than this. Okay, so this file and the finished edited image in Lightroom will exist in the same world as each other. They're not the same thing. I'm sure that we'll spend most of the semester trying to clarify that point. It's really confusing, but just know that in Lightroom, we're going to build a pathway so that Lightroom can see these images. We don't ever want to move these images out of this folder, else Lightroom, that pathway will be broken and Lightroom won't be able to find these images. So, real quick, I'm just going to open Lightroom here. So I'm going to go down to my menu. I'm just going to click on Adobe Lightroom. Remember, yours is going to say Adobe Lightroom Classic CC. This comes up on mine. Don't worry about this. This probably won't come up on yours. This comes up on mine because I have multiple Lightroom catalogs that exist right now. So I'm just going to say use default catalog. But yours won't say that. And your little opening screen might look different. Okay, so now I have a Lightroom catalog. It has nothing in it because I haven't built a pathway. So this is just a catalog. If we look up here, there's a title for the catalog. It just has a generic name, Lightroom Catalog.lrcat, Lightroom Catalog. We want to make our one catalog. So this is another point of confusion. As you go on through your life as a photographer, you're going to have one Lightroom catalog. It is going to be your one Lightroom catalog. You'll have wedding photos in there, baby photos, pictures of your dog, pictures of your mom, pictures of all these things, and the organization will exist in that catalog. The catalog is the world in which it lives. The organization is like the nations in the world, okay? So I'm going to make my one catalog right now. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go File, New Catalog. When I do that, the Create a Folder with New Catalog comes up. I'm going to call it, my new catalog is going to be called Buzzy, my name. I'm going to save it on my external hard drive, the same place that my raw images are. Not in the same folder, but on that same hard drive. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to hit Create. What that's going to do is, we can skip this time. This is just asking if I want to back up the catalog. I'm going to skip this time. Lightroom restarts and is going to relaunch with buzzy.lrcat. So if we look up here in the title, now it's buzzy.lrcat. This is my Lightroom catalog. I'm going to hide this for a second. So now if we go to my external hard drive, I now have two folders. Lightroom created this top one that says Buzzy. If I click on that, here it is. This is my Lightroom catalog right here, buzzy.lrcat. That's where it exists. These other three files are little, they're like little tag-on files. You never want to delete these. Lightroom needs these to make sense of your Lightroom catalog, so make sure to keep these, but you're never going to click into these. Only one you're going to click into is buzzy.lrcat. Okay? Mine's already open, so I don't need to do that right now. So I'm going to go. All right, here's my Lightroom catalog. Once again, I have nothing in here because I have not imported images yet. So let me just import images, and what that's going to do is that's how we're going to create that pathway. So I have my one catalog that I just created, and now I'm going to create that pathway to the raw folder. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to hit Import, and this Select a Source menu pops up. Now if I go over here to Source, I want to go down to where it says my external hard drive, which is here, Buzzy, and click in the folder that says RAWs. When I do that, it's going to show previews of all the images that are in there. I think there's 200 and some images in there, and it's just going to create a preview of all of them. These are not in Lightroom yet. It's just saying, hey, are these the ones you want? So at this level, I don't pick what are good or bad photos. I import all of them. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to select the top one. I'm going to scroll all the way down and I'm going to hold down Shift and click on the last one. Now all of the images have been highlighted. There's kind of a little bit of lag because I'm working on my laptop and these are really big files. So now I have them all selected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Import. Once I do that, up here we say Import files at their current location. That is Lightroom creating that pathway to that raw folder. And I'm going to show you in a later video how you're going to add images to that raw folder and then get them into Lightroom so you can build on your catalog. So this takes a second, so I'm going to pause the video for now and I'll catch you back in a couple minutes when Lightroom is done uploading all these images. All right, you guys, I'm back, and I would say that, I just uploaded 241 images to my catalog, and these are pretty big files. They're made with a camera, or they're actually made with two separate cameras, and one of them, the majority of these photos were made with a camera with a pretty large sensor, 42 megapixels, full frame sensor, so they're really large files. I would say that the upload took, 4 or 5 minutes. So it does take a little bit of time to upload your images, but here they all are. They are now, we have created the pathway from my raw folders into my Lightroom catalog. And so remember, what we're looking at here are not the actual files, we're looking at previews of the files, okay? And I'm going to cover in a later video, right? So this is our first import of images. I'm going to talk about in a future video about how we're going to upload even more pictures and add them to here. Okay, so the next video that I will show you guys will be a tour around the interface of Lightroom. So I'll see you there. Bye.